The Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Senior Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Economic Development, International Trade, Investment, Industry and Commerce. Honorable Marcia Henderson, Minister of Tourism, International Transport, Civil Aviation, Urban Development, Employment and Labor. Senator Honorable Aiseline Phillip, Junior Minister for Youth Empowerment and Social Development, Gender Affairs, Aging and Disabilities. Dr. Hazel Laws, Chief Medical Officer. Ms. Tivana Wharton, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, et al. Mrs. Danielle Taylor-Williams, Director of Tourism. Mrs. Ermeline Sebastian Duggins, Chairlady, St. Kitts Tourism Authority. Mr. Robert Morris, Chairman, Frigate Bay Development Corporation. Mr. Ellison Tommy Thompson, Chief Executive Officer of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority. Ms. Adiola Moore, Chief Executive Officer, St. Christopher Air and Seaport Authority. Mrs. Julie Charles, Chief Executive Officer, Urban Development Corporation. Ms. Carisia Nero, Deputy CEO, Urban Development Corporation. Mr. Sly Boncamper, Managing Director, Frigate Bay Development Corporation. Mr. David Brandy, Taxi President, Liamiga Taxi Association. Mr. Leroy Matthew, Taxi President, St. Kitts Taxi Association. Mr. Sylvester Hodge, Taxi President, St. Kitts Taxi Cooperative. All tourism stakeholders, including our hoteliers, management of the St. Christopher Air and Seaport Authority, management of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, staff, members of the media, and while I was going through the protocol list, our Honorable Speaker of the House, Ms. Lanine Blanchett, came in. Good morning. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to this, the first press conference of our Honorable Minister for 2023. I am Melnesia Marshall, the Deputy CEO at the St. Kitts Tourism Authority. This morning, our Honorable Minister will provide updates on her ministries and associated agencies that are critical to the development of the destination. And so without any further ado, I will now invite our Honorable Minister to come forward and give her remarks. Let us welcome her, please.
Good morning, all. Permit me to adopt the protocol established, but to recognize in our presence this morning our Senior Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Lanine Blanchett, and our vibrant Youth Minister, Senator, the Honorable Aiseline Phillip, with us this morning. I wish to thank you all for joining us today as I share critical updates for the tourism industry and its affiliate sectors. Please allow me at this juncture to use this opportunity to congratulate our unstoppable SKN Carifta team who returned from the Bahamas yesterday after what could only be described as an impressive performance at the Carifta Games convened over the Easter. You did yourselves and your country proud, and we are indeed delighted to celebrate your accomplishments. You are our sports ambassador, and sports is just one of the many avenues where we can promote our destination. Just by your attendance, the region and the world once again would have been reminded of our nation and what we are capable of accomplishing. Congratulations to you all once again. The development of the tourism industry requires vision. It requires partners who can look beyond the present and see the potential of what could be. During this month, the month of April that is, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority will be celebrating 20 years of existence. I take this time to congratulate the organization for reaching this milestone and for being a leader and champion of the tourism industry and the destination. I want to also acknowledge the former Minister of Tourism, Dwyer Astafan, Permanent Secretary Hilary Watley, and Mr. Cliff Hamilton for the trail they blazed in building the foundation of this organization and the industry. Over the next few months, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority will share testimonials of some of the stalwarts in the industry, and celebrations will continue with various activities which will culminate in November during Tourism Month. Congratulations to the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, the Board of Directors, leadership, staff, past and present. You have served well, and we look forward to a bright and productive future for the organization. Over the past few months, my team and I have worked assiduously to rebuild our tourism industry, an industry that accounts for approximately 40% of our nation's GDP. As we look towards the future, our strategy for increasing tourism's impact is built on several pillars that include increasing stay-over arrivals through increased investment in our accommodation sector, diversifying the tourism product, and building airlift capacity. Additionally, an increase in the perceived value of our product offerings is critical if we are to generate demand, increase competitiveness, and increase the positive economic impact of the industry on the livelihoods of our people. This strategy, of course, will require synergy among several ministries, agencies, and of course, the commitment of all. As it relates to the journey of rebuilding the industry, the past few weeks have been very encouraging as we continue our efforts on delivering regarding the need for increased airlift capacity to our destination. We have introduced the addition of Inter-Caribbean Airways, direct flight to Barbados on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, with one-stop connections to St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Grenada, and Guyana. To accommodate patrons traveling for the St. Kitts Music Festival, our first event of our Summer of Fun calendar, American Airlines has added flights on the 21st and 25th June 2023, non-stop from Miami. Additionally, we will have non-stop daily flights for the period August 15th to September 5th, 2023 from Miami, which will undoubtedly accommodate our traveling students. Even with these encouraging additions, we understand that our work is not done. While at the Airlift Conference Routes during the week of 23rd March, we engaged several carriers to discuss the options of new and expanded routes with the aim of transforming St. Kitts into a year-round destination. I am cognizant of the complaints by our locals and those in the diaspora regarding the cost of airfares. However, I need to reiterate that this challenge is not unique to our federation. Rather, it is system-wide. The demand for travel is currently at an all-time high, as individuals take to the skies to compensate for lost time due to the pandemic. This is further compounded by the fact that airlines are still suffering shortages due to limited aircraft and staff. I want you to be assured, however, that my team and I continue to engage our airline partners to provide the Federation with the best possible solutions as it relates to service and experience. At the end of 2022, we welcomed 100,178 visitors in relation to stayovers. We were able to achieve 61% of our 2019 arrivals, notwithstanding travel restrictions only being removed on August 15th. As of March 31st, 2023, we have welcomed 33,645 visitors, and we are optimistic for increased stayover arrivals for 2023 as we roll out our campaigns, which include our Summer of Fun and Winter Escape later in the fall. When your government took office in August 2022, there had been no significant investment in the accommodation sector. Years of uncertainty created an unstable environment. I want to assure you, the citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, that we are actively in discussions with investors and hotel developers to add to our room stock. This is critical for attracting new airline carriers and, of course, generating job creation within our federation. As the minister who is also responsible for labor and employment, the latter remains a top priority for our government, and I strongly believe that we must put our people back to work. I wish at this time to emphasize that maintenance at the RLB airports at international standards is costly and onerous, but it is something that must be done. While we strategize to build Airlift to the destination, we are simultaneously working on ensuring that our facilities can accommodate the anticipated increased traffic. SCASPA is working assiduously amidst financial constraints to ensure that the operations are not only safe, but compliant with all relevant standards. To this end, SCASPA has embarked on the training of new officers within the Air Traffic Services Department. 6 air traffic controllers are currently at the Civil Aviation Training School of Trinidad and Tobago and have already successfully completed 6 of the 15 months training program. Additionally, I am pleased to announce that 5 aeronautical officers have completed training via the same institution. To ensure that we are able to comply with safety regulations and to maintain quality assurance, an additional 2 air traffic controllers would be trained in the near future. We are pleased to announce that the airport chill water system is substantially complete. Traveling passengers are now complaining of being too cold. This is indeed a better problem to have when compared to the alternative. Further, SCASPA has taken steps to enhance the environment at the air cargo facility known as Shed 3. Currently, the roof is being repaired and is 95% completed. The parking apron, as we all know, is a source of major concern, not just for the airport and SCASPA, but for our country on a whole. We want to ensure that the area is adequately rehabilitated. Therefore, we have engaged specialized engineers to re-examine the space and to provide SCASPA with the best value for money solution. It is anticipated that this work will be substantially completed before the commencement of the next winter season. At the Seaport, dredging work resumes mid-April with completion expected in May. Dredging progress was protracted due to the unexpected, continuous adverse wave conditions within the Bass Sea area. This, of course, resulted in the project extending into the cruise season. As the cruise season comes to an end, remediation work commences on the fenders of Cruise Pier 1. 14 fenders are being repaired, and 70 new fender pads would be installed. Additionally, 5 fenders were installed at what we call the cargo ports. Like the airport, training is currently underway for the harbor pilots who are being trained at Star Agency in Miami. The 2 new pilots have completed their theoretical training, and the existing senior pilots would undergo refresher training in the coming months. The cruise sector continues to be a strong foundation pillar of the industry. I am pleased to state that to date, we have welcomed 687,958 cruise visitors. For the same period, 2021 to 2022 season, we had welcomed 308,507 passengers. This represents an increase of 123%. We are certainly moving in the right direction. While attending the Sea Trade Cruise Global Conference during the week of 27th March, the team and I engaged in discussions with all major cruise partners. By all reports, our performance as a destination remains strong. I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate our stakeholders, and we look forward to your continued commitment to the success of the industry. I am also pleased to announce that Royal Caribbean's iconic Icon of the Seas is scheduled to make its inaugural call to St. Kitts in January 2024. The vessel will surpass Wonder of the Seas as the largest cruise ship in the world. I must once again reiterate here the importance of having vision. The previous Labour administration had the foresight to build a pier that could accommodate Oasis-class vessels, and today we are reaping the benefits. To date, we have welcomed every Oasis-class vessel. A feat has made us the envy of the Caribbean, other Caribbean destinations. Our growth, however, is still not without its challenges. While at Sea Trade, we also met with the Carnival Cruise Lines. I am fully cognizant that prior to the pandemic, Carnival was our largest supplier, given the fact that a year-round ship in the Caribbean was home porting out of San Juan. The Carnival fascination called every Friday, and due to the pandemic, Carnival had to decrease the size of its fleet to salvage its operations at that point in time when cruising was almost non-existent. Hence, the fascination is no longer a part of the fleet, and the overall Carnival fleet has decreased from 28 to 22 vessels. Additionally, the challenges with the San Juan port continue to affect cruising in the Caribbean and has had a great impact on the availability of summer cruising. Now, why am I explaining all of this? I want us to understand that we operate in a space not all on our own, but that there are dynamics within the environment that affect us both negatively and positively. Our destination has realized the decrease in its summer business as a result of some of the factors mentioned earlier. However, we remain optimistic that with other lines putting in ships in the Caribbean for the future, and with the recent announcements regarding investments in the San Juan infrastructure, we will see an improvement in what we refer to as the summer business. As we look to the future of cruise, there's going to be a need for investment in infrastructure and in offerings. It was clear that during the workshops convened at Sea Trade, that cruise lines are looking to decrease their negative impact on the environment and that climate action has taken a much higher priority on their agenda. Hence, many of the lines will be looking to destinations for shore power. If St. Kitts is to remain competitive, there is an urgent need for us to be proactive. In addition to infrastructural developments, I continue to insist that there is a need for us to be innovative. There's a need for us to be creative with our products and our service offerings. Carnival cruise lines indicated that we need to intensify and identify options that will encourage our visitors to spend a greater part of their day onshore, which is critical to increasing spend. If we are to increase the visitor spend, we must add value and consistently work to create a fresh experience for our guests. Hence, over the next few months, my team and I will be engaged in consultations with stakeholders as there is going to be a change in policies governing Port Zante, governing taxi and tour approvals. We must look beyond the easy options if we are to generate demand and remain competitive. There is a need, and an urgent need, if I must say, to diversify our offerings. We need tours that highlight the unique elements of the destination and those that are steeped in innovation. I am therefore challenging at this time our budding entrepreneurs to seriously consider the needs of the destination when you are looking at creating your own tourism-related businesses. I encourage you not only to seek out the opportunities that bring you economic benefits, but choose those that add value to the overall tourism product. The St. Kitts Urban Development Corporation continues to streamline its operations to improve safety and enhance the destination's tourism product and overall visitor experience. As mentioned earlier, there has been significant importance placed on the integration of robust, sustainable practices. Waste control, particularly at the Port Zante area, has been strategically organized, wherein there is an increase of waste bins being installed to help mitigate pollution, thereby ensuring a greener St. Kitts. Additionally, to improve the overall visitor experience, and after thorough discussions with the island constables and the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, there have been a few changes to the Port Zante operations. Firstly, to streamline the flow of traffic, parking areas have been safely gated to prevent further congestion in the eastern parking area. Secondly, the security presence at Port Zante has also been increased. And finally, steps have been taken to improve the overall experience at the port with the removal of items blocking access to the common areas. I want to appeal to the merchants and patrons of Port Zante to be good stewards of our facilities and to lend your full cooperation to the managing agencies to ensure a safe and positive experience for all. Over the next few months, you too, and I'm referring to the merchants here, will be engaged in consultations as we prepare for the upcoming season. The 25th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival, scheduled for 22nd to 24th of June, kicks off what we refer to as our Summer of Fun. The music festival was created with the goal of generating revenue for the destination during the summer months after the peak of the tourism season. Hence, as we promote the festival, we are first promoting a destination with a festival, and we encourage our visitors and our members of the diaspora to come and venture deeper and peel back the layers of a destination that offers culinary, historical, eco-adventure, and of course, the rhythm of our people through music. The following are key highlights of this year's event. A week of fringe events are currently being planned, of which the festival, of course, will be the main highlight. We anticipate that the week of events will begin on June 17th and end on 25th June. We have staple events such as White Sands and Escape, which will be joined by other events, and these will be announced over the next few weeks as we confirm with our partners. All concerts are scheduled for 7 p.m. nightly. Please note, however, that the committee reserves the right to adjust the time. The admission fee for each concert night remains at EC 135, Mayor EC 135, or US $50. We wish to note, however, that the value of the festival continues to increase, and we have kept the prices the same. Tickets are available, and you can purchase your tickets at the StKidsMusicFestival.com. This year, we are proposing that the festival be 420 friendly. And for those of you who may not understand, there is an international celebration on the 20th of the 4th month, that's this month, the 20th of April, where we celebrate cannabis internationally, not just locally. And this year we are proposing that the festival be 420 friendly. We are currently working with the legal team and security forces to discuss this plan, and more information, of course, will be provided to you over the next few weeks. But as we talk on diversifying our offerings and products, those of you who have been following us would see that we want to venture into cannabis tourism, and this is one of the pilot projects that we would venture into as we continue our efforts to diversify our offerings as a destination. The first round of artists was released on March 12th, and I know that we have all anxiously been waiting for a further announcement. Well, the wait is over. I now invite you to turn your attention to the screens, and my team and I will take questions, any questions, after the announcement. Thank you.
It's the moment you've been waiting for! The second wave of artists performing at the 25th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival. Akka, you sweet! Collision Band! Small Axe Band! Statics! Erica Edwards! Anthony B! Romain Bogo! TJ! Mitchell B! 313 Family! Mr. Bagnall! Cash! Nyla Blackman! 3D! Gramps Morgan! New Vibes Band! Ricardo Drew! Dexter Daps! Burna Boy! And they will be performing alongside Patrice Roberts, Chronix, Coffee, Byron Messiah, Grandmasters, Valiant, Governor, Ear Supply, Skinny Fabulous, and Skelly Bang. Book now and save the date. June 22nd to the 24th, 2023. It's the 25th anniversary of the St. Kitts Music Festival. An experience like no other.
So there you have it, the announcement, and according to... We can go ahead. You have it. We have announced the full slate of artists for the 25th celebration of the St. Kitts Music Festival. At this point, we will be taking any questions from the audience or media houses.
Good morning to all. Glenn Bart, SK Newsline. Minister, you mentioned the matter of the airport situation. First off, is government paying British Airways for the additional fuel burn that's required because of the situation with the parking apron? And related to that is, has there been any tendering made so far with regards to the repair to the apron? And how soon can we expect that project to begin?
Sorry, Mr. Bat, if I could just have your second question in relation to the tendering?
Yes. Has any tendering been done as yet on that project? What is its cost? And how soon can we see construction or repairs of the parking apron?
Okay.
And in relation to that also is, some time ago you mentioned that there are some considerations being made for the new terminal. How far has that gone? Is it going to be a reality, or is it still being in the concept stage?
Okay.
I want to touch on the accommodation issue that you mentioned as well. You did say that you're looking at new investment, but currently there are a couple of major projects that are lying dormant, particularly the Chinese projects. One in Frigate Bay, one somewhere, I think it's in the Camps area or West Farm area. What has government done so far to facilitate the restart and completion of these two major projects? That will add significantly to your accommodation problem. And for now, one more question. During the election campaign of 2022, the Labour Party made a promise to taxi operators to provide an assistance package in relation to the COVID-19 issues. I remember also there was a meeting here with taxi drivers right here in this hotel in which it was said that Cabinet was considering that package. What has happened to that, and what is Cabinet's decision on that issue? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bat, for your questions. And perhaps we can start where you ended in relation to the grant for taxi operators. A few months back, I think it was late last year, if I'm not mistaken, the Cabinet approved what we call the COVID relief for taxi operators and small businesses grant out of the Development Bank, where funds were put into the Development Bank and the operators, taxi operators and entrepreneurs were able to go to the bank and apply once you were qualified, and you would have been issued a grant of $25,000. $25,000 per applicant. I am aware that some persons have even gotten a little more than 25,000 if the circumstances are required or the circumstances dictated. So that program, that was promised, I know some of the taxi operators have applied and benefited from it. And so I'm pleased to say that we did deliver on the promise. It is limited. I know that the application process started and was supposed to have ended up until, I think, February of this year. So our applicants would have gone in and applied, gone through the process, the screening. Once they qualified, they would have benefited from the grant. As it relates, Mr. Bat, to the projects, as you said, lying dormant, and what efforts would have been taken by the government as it relates to accommodations, new accommodations and existing projects lying dormant. Most of the projects, some of them were, if I can say, were related to the CBI program, and with the changes in the regulations, developers were required to resubmit their projects for consideration by the board. When we met as a cabinet, I think 2 weeks ago, we were informed that if not all, 95% of the developers would have reapplied and would have been approved. And so we're pleased to say that those projects that were lying dormant, they're going to be revived. There are new developers who have approached us as well, and I am aware, even though that we're still in discussions, and I can't say much, that there are new projects as it relates, at least 2 of them, as it relates to accommodation. That takes us into the question of the second terminal and whether it's still in concept stage. But before we can get a second terminal, we need to build our airlift capacity. We can't put the chicken before the egg. It makes no sense to, and so the concept is being discussed and considered simultaneously with our airlift strategy, where we are working on bringing more airlift to the destination. If you're paying attention, you would see that the airport is busy mostly on Saturdays and to a certain extent on Wednesdays. And that is because we, of course, are still experiencing challenges as it relates to airlifts within the destination. So the terminal is being considered, of course, with our airlift strategy, and we're working not only to have the second terminal built, but we're working on improving airlift. And so I think your other question was in relation to the existing terminal and whether we are able to accommodate. Was that a question, Mr. Bat? Right. Okay. So no tendering has been done as yet as it relates to the apron, but what we are doing is, and maybe the CEO of SCASPA can take this question.
All right, good morning. What we are doing is working on what we term some short-term fixes in the meantime, as we still are in discussions with the developers. So no tendering has been done, as the minister said, but we are working on short-term fixes currently for the new season, the new upcoming season.
And the short-term fixes would be doing some repairs in terms of sealing the apron so that we can accommodate the aircrafts while they come. And we are told by the experts that should work for a period of 2 to 3 years, CEO?
Yes, 2 to 3, and it may extend up to 4 years.
While we consider our options for the second terminal, of course, building airlift capacity and the need for the second terminal. So, yes, we appreciate that we've outgrown the footprint of the main and existing terminal, but we still are considering whether at this point in time we should put the chicken before the egg. So we need to improve airlift. The question as it relates to British Airways and whether we are paying them for additional fuel, I'll allow the CEO from the SKTA to take that question.
Okay, good morning, everybody. In terms of paying additional to British Airways for fuel, no, that's not currently happening, but we do have in place a marketing agreement with British Airways, which has been stable for the past few years.
Yes.
I have a large mouth, so I don't need to go far. My name is Brenda. Oh, sorry. Good morning, everyone. My name is Brenda O'Neill, and I'm a travel advisor based in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have loved St. Kitts for a very long time. It's not really a question. I just ask that you consider the Travel Advisory Network. We're here to help, and we can help. I know you have a marketing plan, I know all of that, but I love this place, and I so want to see it succeed. So counsel with us. I work with another island, and they have bounded exponentially just by listening just a little bit, right? Because we do have the ear for consumers. Our consumers don't care that you're not all-inclusive. They care that you're beautiful. They care that your people are sensitive. They care that you have luxury properties.
Right.
That's what they care about. So lean on us. Let us help you, because it's a beautiful destination. People are tired of Mexico. They're tired of Jamaica. They're tired of St. Lucia. So let us make you the new best thing, okay? Thank you.
Definitely, Brenda, thank you very much, and we will definitely be reaching out. I'm told we have reached out already.
Mervyn Thompson, ZIZ. I have one question, and I know it's SCASPA related, which is St. Christopher Air and Seaport Authority. But regarding the training at the nautical stations in Miami and in Trinidad that you mentioned, and the training that is anticipated for other pilots and, for lack of a better term, SCASPA workers, I know that there is a push to partner with the NTA and stuff like that. So is that bridge or that hand being extended to Nevis so that all nautical persons and persons in that field can be on the same level?
SCASPA is run by a board of directors here in St. Kitts. NASPA is run by its own board. And while we partner on certain initiatives, I can't say definitively what their plans are and what their objectives are, but just to answer briefly, that NASPA has its own management, whereas SCASPA reports to the Minister of Tourism in St. Kitts. The NASPA reports to another minister in Nevis.
Mark Schneider from Sunset Reef. And Minister, thank you very much for the great announcement on the music festival. My question would be, is there a marketing plan currently being developed to boost the marketing effort for the music festival?
The short answer is yes. We have a plan that's going to kick in now that we have the full complement of acts. So that's going to kick in the Caribbean and also in the North America. Beginning last year, after the last music festival, we prepared a full year of promotion in the UK market with Soca News, and that has been ongoing. And so the short answer is yes, and now that we have the full act, it's going to be all guns blazing. I don't know if that's a good term, but...
Good morning. Mr. Minister, Madam Minister, sorry. We welcome this meeting, and there's always a first, and there is hope in what you mentioned. And I'm happy that it takes time and that you're working strategically on the improvement of the industry, airport, seaport, and otherwise. We, the taxi drivers, would have met here before and were seeking assistance of a grant rather than a loan. Development Bank would have called us or mentioned that monies are available, but it would be in the form of a loan.
Yes, a low interest paying loan, yes.
Well, a low interest paying loan. Well, yes, low interest paying loan. But we got it differently in that it was a grant. I mean, a loan and a grant is two different. I'm sure everybody would understand that. And so we just really want to know that if individuals actually received a grant, and I know if they did receive a grant, probably by now that amount would have been finished. If you have $10 and you have a period open, at some point it will be closed. But we are getting information from the bank that it is a loan of low interest rather than a grant. Madam Minister, it will be difficult after we would have gone through COVID and some repossession would have made.
Yes, what's the question though?
Is it if it's a loan or a grant?
Right.
Yes.
And when we met with the taxi presidents, y'all were made aware that it was a low interest paying loan.
It was a loan, but
Right.
but you mentioned in your remarks that taxi driver would have gotten a grant or grants.
But what I meant was the loan that was funded through Development Bank by the government. So monies were placed by government into the Development Bank for the COVID relief for taxi operators and small business, easily accessible, not the rigid procedure with normal commercial banks. And I'm sure you appreciate that there are other stakeholders in the industry. I appreciate that maybe 25,000 may have been spent, and that I do appreciate that COVID was particularly harsh on the tourism industry and how fragile the industry is. But we do have other stakeholders as well that we had to consider providing relief for. We have the hoteliers, we have all the other persons who would have approached us and asked for relief as well. So.
Yes, I understand that, and I appreciate the extent to as far as it went, but I'm still saying or asking about a loan a grant, sorry.
Rather than a loan.
Rather than a loan.
Right.
So if funds were put there from the government for, call it a soft loan, very low interest. I mean, if everybody in here can get that interest rate, it would have been so nice. But across the board, and I know that it is extended to hoteliers and other entrepreneurs.
No, this loan was just for taxi operators and small business owners.
Small business
and you're
owners.
aware as well as the taxi president that we did not we didn't approve any additional licenses for this season so that we can accommodate those persons who would have gone through the pandemic and not made any monies. We have over 500 applications within the ministry waiting to be processed for persons who want to get into the taxi, particularly for taxi operators. So we came up with solutions. We provided the accessible low-interest loan. We didn't take additional applicants for taxi licenses. Everybody, they come daily asking to be able to function and work and ply their trade as taxi operators, but we took the decision as a policy that this season we would not have any additional taxi operators. So we did what we can. We tried, and I'm sure a lot of persons would have benefited.
Certainly, and I commend you and your team highly. However,
do you have another question?
It was just because I heard grant rather than loan. That's
okay,
all.
I thought that was okay. Thank you.
All right, Minister.
Yes, Mr. Batts.
The matter of the airport, the apron situation. Right. Now we understand that there is alternative arrangements being pursued with regards to, essentially resurfacing
It's not alternative, it's interim.
interim.
Interim,
But even so, that requires tendering.
right.
And when I asked the question initially, I was referring to tendering for the original project that was
Right.
being pursued. So what is the situation with the tendering? And still, by now, you should have an idea as to what's going to cost.
Right.
Okay?
So-
We'd like to get information on that.
Okay. So the board met and considered that an interim solution should be considered. We're not taking off the additional terminal at all. It's still being considered. But in the interim, so that we can accommodate our partners, the suggestion was to take bids on the sealing of the apron, and so that process has not yet been started. In terms of a cost, I know we're in the process. I don't know if the CEO has an idea, but we don't have any bids as yet.
All right.
It's not something I'm willing to release or divulge right at this point, but we are in discussions with different developers, so soon we will send out the tendering process would start
But you
shortly.
should have a ballpark figure as to how much it's going to cost.
Yes, we do, but as the CEO said, that she doesn't think that right now is the time to divulge that information. It's not that we don't have it, but we don't think that right now is the appropriate time.
On the matter of music festival, in the past, there have been many, many cases where local entertainers who performed on the show and service providers to the music festival who are local
Right.
have had difficulty getting payments, sometimes for durations of months.
Yes.
Has the government and the Music Festival Committee put in the adequate resources to compensate local artists and local service providers for their work?
Right, absolutely, Mr. Bat. In fact, what we're getting a lot of licks for in terms of being out of the gate late is as a result of all of this happening. We have not been, and this is not to be controversial at all, but to date, we have not received the exit report from the last festival. We still have owing, and I've said it, so it's not a secret, in excess of $700,000 owed from the last festival. So the ministry thought it prudent that the management of the festival should be brought back within the ministry, and so that we can be mindful of the government's fiscal objectives and being fiscally prudent, making sure that persons are paid. The decision was taken for the music festival to be managed from within the ministry. So we announced last year the new chairman, who is our executive director in the ministry, Mr. Alistair Williams. He's no stranger to the festival. We are confident that even coming out of the gate late, that we are going to execute a successful festival. So to answer your question, yes, we've taken the management back within the ministry. We've looked at our budgets. We would have gone to the Ministry of Finance last year. We've approached the cabinet since in terms of funding, just to make sure that we are budgeting accurately, and to make sure that I think we would have a better appreciation within the ministry of the funds allocated to us and how they should be spent.
Good morning, Ken Boyd here from the St. Kitts Marriott. I first wanted to say congratulations on your accomplishments since you're being in office, and continued success. I guess this might be a question for Tommy. I know there's been lots of dialogue about JetBlue, and I'm wondering if there's any progress on that, if that's something that we're going to see in this year or potentially next. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I cannot comment on this matter at this time, but you will be brought up to date when appropriate.
Minister, I just have a quick thought and wanted to say I think it's great that there's a vision for the future as we continue to grow. So my question is now an appropriate time as a community, as an industry, for us to get together to see what we can do about building skill set and raising our service standards and building a service culture here in St. Kitts so that we are ready for the future when it comes? Is that something we can entertain?
Absolutely, absolutely. So when the cruise season ends at the end of this month, we're going to be embarking on a series of consultations with the stakeholders in the industry, and those are some of the things we intend to be discussing with you. Yes, and my deputy CEO has just reminded me that we're starting consultations with our hoteliers on the 24th of April. So you would be notified exactly where and when. So we will start our consultation so that we can commence the new season, that's for cruise, and the fall season as well, and be prepared.
That was just mentioned from last year's festival, and there have been indications for a few years recently that the festival cannot continue at the price point at which we have it at. When can persons expect that increase, or how will the government and the SKTA deal with such a figure, plus what we want to do this year with the injection that was mentioned from the budget, finances, bottom line, and just how do we navigate that space? I guess so that it doesn't hit us by surprise if we hear a ticket will now cost $250, and that's me probably lowballing still. Secondly, with such a diverse lineup that was just mentioned, appropriate licenses being sought, and this was an issue last year, so follow up on that, please.
Thank you very much. Just to put things in perspective, the music festival is just part of the offerings of our tourism products. So yes, we do appreciate it might be costly in terms of finances, but ultimately the objective is to bring visitors to the destination. And so we continue to try to find a balance in terms of being fiscally prudent and attaining our objectives of having visitors come to our shores during the off-season, and providing money, of course, in generating some economic impact to our local economy. So yes, we did discuss the cost of the ticket compared to the cost of the production, and whilst we need to increase the cost of the tickets, we took a decision this year that it's not going to be this year, and we went back to the drawing board in terms of how do we then compensate. And one of the things we did see was bringing the management back within the ministry and trying our best to be prudent with our spending and not having to pay much, a lot out when we have competent and capable persons within the ministry who would have worked with the festival over the years who can assist with the management and execution of the festival. So it may come, it might be inevitable, but right now that's not something you need to be worrying about. In terms of applying for appropriate licenses, the team is on all of it. We are working with our legal team and the management of the various artists as well. So we do have that covered, but thank you very much. And with ECHO, some of the fees owed as well is in the 700,000. The excess is for outstanding amounts as well to ECHO. I can't, it's not a secret, the accounts are to be published in any event, so persons would be privy to the outstanding balances and what it is in relation to. Well, we don't have the exit reports as yet, so we are working on it. We are hopeful in the near future, but we don't have the benefit of an exit report.
Just a little comment, sorry, on the festival.
Yes.
I don't go no more, so it's not too bad. But $50
US.
for 3 acts is a giveaway.
Right.
I mean, you have 3 acts differently. It's 50 US for one person. For me, you're gonna pay 50 US. Me alone for the whole night.
That's right. We might add you then.
And me, you, and the CEO for 50 US?
Yes.
You guys gotta step it up.
Yes. The overall objective, the bigger picture. And yes, we may need to go back to reconsider whether we need to increase the ticket price. But for us, we want to make sure that visitors come to the destination. It's not, if it was just a stage show, then the Ministry of Entertainment would be executing the event. But it falls under tourism because the overall objective is to bring visitors to our shores.
Good morning,
Good
Joelle
morning.
Griffin, Timothy Beach Resort. My question is in regarding to the music festival and Airlift. What is the plan if the demand for Airlift is greater than the supply?
Well, interestingly, yesterday, I might have been speaking with the chairman for the festival, and the 2 additional dates that we got from American Airlines, the tickets are already gone. My team is traveling at the end of... But we're in discussions to meet with American Airlines to see what we can do, and Inter-Caribbean, of course, to see what we can do to accommodate the demand. But the demand definitely is there. The festival is serving its purpose in bringing people to our shore. So the dates, the additional airlift added, those have been sold out already. So we are already considering what the plan is.
And let me just add, in terms of American Airlines, this is actually the first international music festival that they are actually giving additional airlift to. In the past, it's only been domestic, but this is the first time as international. And the way this is going, I think we are going to be in a good position moving forward.
Increased airlift, persons are wondering about charter flights. Apparently there was one arranged last year or something, and they're wondering if Miami, I did indicate that there was mention of the direct flights regarding AA, as you mentioned earlier, but I'm not sure if they're probably looking for something different. I don't know if that would serve as a charter flight.
No, we're not going to go into the charter because we have the additional service with American. So that's the route that we've taken this year.
My final question regards to the marketing of tourism, St. Kitts tourism in the Canadian marketplace. What is the situation now? I know that it was kind of challenging and there was at one point a kind of focus around golfing. What is the situation now with the Canadian market? Is there any potential for growth, and how much growth do you think we can get out of the Canadian market for the next season?
All right, the Canadian market fluctuates with the UK in terms of the delivery of business. In a pre-COVID world, it's around about 10,000, 11,000 passengers per year. We have a service with Air Canada that begins in November and goes through until April. That has been very successful for us this season. In fact, it was so successful that Air Canada did not put it on sale, so that bodes well for our initiatives in Canada. We do have a marketing plan in Canada where we are looking at using the creatives that agency Tambourine has developed, the Venture Deeper campaign, which is now a global campaign. That is being used in Canada. That is being used in television and also on social. We also have a PR agency that has been very active in terms of getting us travel writers, influencers, bloggers to the destination to create that destination desire within Canada. And that is complemented by the sales team in Canada who are doing webinars, et cetera, to travel advisors, working with the tour operators. We're actually going to be meeting with Air Canada next month, and at that time you'll see what their plans are. One of the things that St. Kitts has to its advantage out of the Canadian market is we are close enough north that when we look at the Canadian travel regulations now, to go any further south from us is going to require a double crew. But in St. Kitts, we are a single crew, so that's going to be a unique selling point that we're going to be pushing in the Canadian market for the airlines. Because they're going to be looking for warm weather destinations for the winter, and get to us with a single crew. That's definitely going to be an advantage for us, and that's the message that we have been pushing, and especially pushed the routes when we were meeting with all the Canadian carriers.
So I guess that we can wrap up now. No questions on the 420 friendly aspect of the festival. I think we're all on board. Okay, so thank you all for coming. I see a lot of the stakeholders and our partners in the audience, and even those of you tuned in online. We want to encourage you. Well, thank you for your support. Continue to work on diversifying our offerings and our products so that we remain competitive. A lot of other destinations like to say we are coming after St. Kitts. They see us as their competitor, and for us to remain competitive, we need to make sure that we continue to be innovative, we continue to diversify our offerings, improve our infrastructure, which we are mindful of. And so we want to continue to work with you. We look forward to the upcoming consultations where we will take your questions, your concerns, your issues, observations, whatever. We will address them so that we can start off the new cruise season coming up in October and our summer fun activities that start off with the St. Kitts Music Festival. We will be pushing the restaurant week in July, which would bring visitors to the destination who are interested in our culinary. I like to say our culinary tells our story of who we are as a people. It doesn't taste good, but it tells you who we are. What we did with the scraps during slavery, the pig foot and the intestines from, and created black pudding, and now it's a delicacy. So we will be celebrating Restaurant Week during the week. When is this? July 13th, and I think we have decided, I don't think we've decided on the fruit as yet, but we're close to it. Then we also will be celebrating in our summer fun Nevis Mango Festival. And Nevis, they boast that they have over 40 varieties of mangoes. And so as a part of our summer fun calendar, we will be celebrating the Nevis Mango Festival. Culturama as well would be a part of the summer fun calendar. And we close off with CPL, the biggest party in sport. So stay tuned, keep your ears to the ground as we continue our efforts to bring visitors to our destination and, of course, economic impact for our people of the Federation, bearing in mind that this industry supports over 40% GDP, 40% of the GDP for our nation. So thank you very much. We are thankful that you came. We want to continue to work with you, the taxi presidents. I see representatives from the hotel, from the chamber, from Frigate Bay, the airport. All of you, thank you very much once again.
stay cool. Act up, or you just came home from doing a bid. Tell me what you gon' do.
Put your hands in the air, come on. Oh, what you think is love, dog, it's truly not.
Please don't think I'm weak, I couldn't turn the other cheek. Papa, I sure hope you understand.
Talking about trust, talking about forever, baby. When you're talking, girl, I can't believe the love you given me.
Friends say I'm no good for you, but in my heart, oh, baby, yeah. I won't stop.
Watch the people running when they hear the steel beat. See them all wailing when they get
like your little sexy style. Love it when you're getting wild. Girl in the club with me.
let's go all around the world. Fantastic, they're fantastic. I wanna see you throw your hands in the air as bombastic. Your worst behavior, wind up with your worst behavior, join up with your worst behavior.
But that's alright by me. Yeah.
Like they shoot down them brotherhood. No pass say them go like up at the North Pole.
It's not an easy road. Many see the glamour and the glitter.
Let's do this. Oh, na 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 na.
And who knows? And who knows? Who knows? Who knows? And I just go where the chase. She got a Lamborghini, why we in a Lamborghini? She from another country, I brought her to the city.
Somebody jump, jump, jump.
Tell me what you see. Can you feel my pain? Give me this. Give us a better way. Decision. I said we're ready.
Some grudges and jealousy and police where abuse them authority. Be the code when on no
Business. No, we know business. When you turn like you know business. When you turn like you know business.
yeah, them are steady.
We are option pop.
We know where you're from.
So and they can't put it. Don't be ashamed. Take it.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Now get jiggy, everybody. Lean in, lean in, lean in.
No do say that. Set it, walk it.
My last year.
Walk it, set it.
Everybody drinking. Who cares what the thinking? Yo,
Be right by your side. And every morning I'll be there.
when everywhere in the world house, everywhere I need. Tell them easy.
And my heart go bada.
I'm all the way. I'm all the way.
Though I drink so again, I need to walk within the past. Some cry, some fight, some cry every day. We rise.
Lord, and I want you to know right now that
Give me no shackles, no one, give me no chain. Now sell my soul just in change. I'm now in the Bucko! Every man I want, hey, box it up. Strike a pose, with the box.
one of them broke like dog and I move like giant. Watch them move. Go top girl now by yourself.
Never feel saying, baby, it's just a woman thing.
It's a man's world, but I understand.
But let's do nothing different.
She loves only me. Now, oh Lord, don't wanna cheat. She don't want my girlfriend. I don't wanna cheat. There's a meeting in my bed. In my bed. There's a meeting in my bed.
Hands about used to make me trip away.
Face deep, segregate me,